Whenever I do a video on the best TV settings for playing games, there would always be some commenters claiming that color accuracy doesn't matter for gaming, since games are all rendered artificially without any standard anyway. But these people are wrong, and I'm going to prove it in this very video. Here, I've captured the source video file of Horizon Forbidden West played from a Sony PS5 console, and what we are going to do is to analyze Aloy's skin tones using DaVinci Resolve, the same software I use to edit and grade my YouTube videos. Let's draw a power window around Aloy's face, then use the qualifier tool to isolate her skin tones. In case you are curious about the reason why I learned to do this, when I first started on YouTube, I was so self-conscious that I spent a lot of time and effort airbrushing the imperfections on my face in my videos. These days, I don't even care anymore. I've come to accept that I'll never be as dashing as Henry Cavill. Anyway, as you can see, Aloy's skin tones fell right on the skin tone indicator line in the vector scope, which is important for injecting greater realism into the cinematic cutscene. And if we turn our attention to Varl, a black character in the game, his skin tones also adhered faithfully to the skin tone line, suggesting that the game developers have taken great care to craft the colors for a more realistic effect. If we analyze the opening cinematic sequence in God of War Ragnarok on the PS5, again you can see that Kratos' skin tones were bang on the skin tone line. This is not a coincidence, since the white point recommended by Nvidia and Microsoft for game development is also D65, the same white point commonly used within the film and broadcast industry. Now, the default game mode on most consumer TVs is usually far too blue in terms of color temperature, making the whole color palette look sickly and fake, with skin tones deviating from the skin tone indicator line. The sharpness setting in most game modes is also pushed to excessive levels out of the box, causing more aliasing, fizziness, or shimmering artifacts, especially in games containing lots of fine detail. Now, obviously you can go into the user menu and start adjusting a bunch of settings to improve picture quality, if you know exactly which settings to adjust. If you don't, or can't find any instructions on YouTube for your specific TV model, then there is at least one TV brand whose TVs can switch into game mode while maintaining color accuracy without needing you to adjust any picture settings. Over the years, Panasonic televisions have been known for being the most accurate out of the box for watching movies, so it is hardly surprising that the Japanese manufacturer has now extended its formidable color expertise to gaming as well. Here, I have a 42-inch Panasonic LZ980 OLED TV in my test room, and there is an input lag setting in the user menu, which, when set to fast, would activate game mode, cutting down input lag to as low as 9.3 milliseconds at 60 frames per second, and 5.7 milliseconds at 120 frames per second. More importantly, this input lag setting can be engaged inside any picture preset, so if we set input lag to fast within the Professional 1 picture mode, and start measuring 140 color patches found inside the challenging color checker SG chart, you can see that there is no significant degradation in color accuracy at all, with an average delta error of less than 1, and no inaccuracies exceeding the humanly perceptible threshold of delta error 3. Amazingly, this level of accuracy was already present out of the box, without any further adjustments or calibration beyond turning off the ambient sensor settings. Translated to real-world games, if we display the same cinematic cutscenes from Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok on the Panasonic OLED, and analyze the color presentation using DaVinci Resolve, hopefully you can appreciate just how close the skin tones got to the skin tone indicator line, faithfully reproducing the creative intent while maintaining low input lag. And if you are using a console that supports ALLM or auto low latency mode, the Panasonic TV will automatically kick into game mode when you start playing a game, as long as you leave input lag and ALLM at their default out-of-the-box values of auto and on respectively. To play console games on a 2022 Panasonic OLED, our recommendation would be to use the Professional 1 picture mode, which targets 200 nits and 2.2 gamma in SDR, and the panel peak with accurate PQ EOTF tracking in HDR. Just make sure to switch off the ambient sensor settings and let ALLM do its work to engage game mode automatically, remembering to engage the VRR and 4K 120Hz bypass mode settings if required. Talking of which, Panasonic is the first TV manufacturer to successfully extract full 4K 120Hz resolution with HDR and VRR from a MediaTek HDMI 2.1 chipset without the help of a coprocessor by offering the 4K 120Hz bypass mode setting in the user menu. Engaging 4K 120Hz bypass mode also allowed for full 444 chroma reproduction, as well as smoother 10-bit gradation based on this display HDR test pattern. So on balance, we would keep this setting enabled for playing 4K HDR games at 120 frames per second on its two HDMI 2.1 ports. Note that engaging 4K 120Hz bypass mode means that you won't be able to turn off HDR tone map. So if you want to simulate HDRG by hard clipping at the panel peak, you would have to disable 4K 120Hz bypass mode. Otherwise, there is a new NVIDIA Auto Game Mode setting in the user menu to help boost compatibility with NVIDIA G-Sync. In addition to the open standard HDMI Forum VRR and AMD FreeSync Premium formats, which worked well to reduce screen tearing and frame drops, therefore delivering smoother and more responsive gameplay on 2022 Panasonic OLED TVs we've tested so far. To appeal to more gamers, the company has also implemented a game control board overlay on its 2022 OLEDs, which displays various gaming-related parameters such as picture mode, VRR frame rates, 4K 120Hz bypass mode, HDR tone map settings, and also other information. To make Game Control Board easier to access, you can pin it to the home taskbar so that it's immediately available after pressing the home button on the remote control, or assign it to the My App button on your remote. With all this said, by far the biggest reason to get a Panasonic OLED for playing games is for its game mode, which can be activated within an accurate picture preset, combining class-leading out-of-the-box color fidelity with low input lag without needing further adjustments or calibration. And as proven at the start of this video, color accuracy matters for gaming too, because well-mastered games will adhere to established color standards including D65 white point. Of course, some of you may wish to use your television for other purposes besides playing games, such as watching movies or sports. To find out how Panasonic OLEDs perform in these areas, please watch our full video review by clicking here.